Hello and welcome back to the Global Mindfulness in Education Summit. My name is Dr. Chris Willard. I'm a clinical psychologist and writer and mindfulness educator. And today we are turning to Turkey to talk to my friend Ebru Engin, who is a mindfulness teacher there. She's trained some in the United States and has worked in the corporate world as well as working in the educational world, consulting in schools. But she'll tell you a little bit about herself, and so I'll just welcome her now. So welcome so much, Ebru. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, thanks for having me, Chris. It's a great organization that you're doing, bringing all international colleagues together in connection. So I look forward to meeting other people already from this network. So I'll tell a little bit about myself. Yes, I have been in the corporate world for 20 years. However, at the beginning of the corporate world, I had seen some difficulties in juggling too many things at the same time and managing the relationships in the corporate world. So that's when I had started looking into how I could manage them better. And then I had discovered these mindfulness practices. And there was a time in my life where I would go home and read all the books with nonstop, but I had seen the benefits of it immensely that I told myself, why not? I did not hear this a lot earlier. And the idea came to me that I could do this teaching for kids at earlier ages, and that's how I started.
Wow. And so what have you found as you've started sharing this kind of work with kids? Has it been well received in the different places where you've been working?
Actually, to be honest, I had more personal reservations about teaching this to kids, but the kids and the teenagers really surprised me as I started working with them, and it was a really pleasant surprise. They really do, the ones who are interested, they do really integrate, and the reflection they give back to you, it's lovely to hear their experiences and what they get from you. And I think the most important with the teenagers, it's nice to observe that they can learn how to manage stress at early ages. And they understand, it comes to their consciousness that they could really understand what it means to control their attention, where they want to put their attention to. Yeah. And it's a big present to get these, it's really rewarding to get these feedbacks back from them when we work with those age groups.
I can imagine. And how is it that you introduce mindfulness, and you also teach yoga, I know, is that right, to kids as well? How do you explain it to them? How do you describe mindfulness and what the possible benefits are for them?
The first time I meet them, that I explain to them that at school they learn a lot of things about different topics like math, a language, but they are never taught how the mind works. Mm-hmm. And I ask them if they are interested in learning how their mind works. That's the first thing. The second thing, I ask them if they have any problems with feeling angry at any time, or if they have problems wanting to stay alone sometimes, or do they sometimes yell and scream and feel bad afterwards, and most of the time they raise their hands. That's where I get them, because those are the things that they have difficulties or issues, but they don't know how to cope them. So when I tell them that in this practices or in this sessions that we could do together, they could find solutions for these, that's when I really feel that they do get genuinely interested, because it's also their areas that they have difficulties coping with. And that's how I start.
Yeah. Why do you think kids are so stressed out all over the world, and are there particular things in Turkey that have been stressful for teenagers and for kids these days? Do you have a sense of what's making things particularly challenging?
Yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, when I started, let's say the teenagers, when I started working with them, I was extremely surprised how much stress they go through. And I remember at one of your conferences, you had mentioned the segment that is most stressful in the US is also the teenagers. And in Turkey, they are at those ages, they go through various exams to be able to enter into schools. And for that, they need to work their time after school as well. And this is not only at school, but after school and including the weekend. I don't know if it's a good metaphor to use, but in Turkish we have a saying, they're like racehorses. Like they need to always study and do a lot of, and little time for fun, relaxation, or sports.
Yeah.
And it's a lot on them. And of course, when they are growing up, there are also social things that is coming up, building friends, managing those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all these add up to their stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there practices that you've found the students that you work with particularly enjoy? Are there certain mindfulness techniques or yoga practices that they respond to?
Okay. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues are going to talk about a lot of mindfulness practices. So maybe I could introduce some suggestions on partner yoga that I found kids love and enjoy and laugh a lot. I like to use these partner poses a lot in my sessions.
Oh, nice.
And yes, and it really helps them to, they're not also used to using their bodies a lot, some of them, and they're always fond of discovering the feelings in their bodies, but some movements help them to understand letting go. For example, really bending the head down and letting go the head relaxed, and associating that with the feeling of letting go, how much you can let go of your body and how much can you let go in your life.
Yeah.
Or it's a good thing to discuss afterwards, how you felt in your body and how do you let go of a thought in your life when you feel your mind is ruminating on it. The other area like I like to use, which a lot with kids on trust, is how much I trust myself and how much I trust my friend, is through body work where one lies down as like a baby closes, and the other one lies behind her at the back and really lets go. And can she really let go and trust her friend to hold her, or is she still tense in her body?
Yeah.
And that we exchange and we discuss about that. And those practices can be fun and also learning, and they love, but they also integrate and discuss about it. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Thanks.
And how are parents responding and schools responding? Do you work much with parents or with with teachers and the educators themselves, or mostly working with the kids?
Actually, thanks for asking this. Some of the teenagers that I work with are recommending that I work with their parents as well. So
the teenagers are recommending you work with the parents.
Yes, exactly. So I do have a couple people that I work with, both the kid and the parent, and it's a great match, a great opportunity. And so I do work with the parents, and actually I also see after a point, it gives a space for the parent and the teenager or the child to bond more. Like they do the practice together, they share experiences, or they know how sometimes they need to stop, breathe, and see their choices. And if they can't do it, they make fun of it, or they come and tell me, "Oh, this week didn't work. It did work." And all these things are happening, which I enjoy. At schools in Turkey, the concept is known. I wouldn't say in a good percentage yet. More the private schools are informed and have taken some steps in terms of like organizing seminars or informing their teachers. But I think there's more room for growth, and we could all contribute to this growth. I would like to personally see the schools to own this or integrate this into their curriculum in the future.
Yeah. And has it been hard to translate into Turkish, these concepts? Or are you teaching in English language schools? Are you teaching it in Turkish? Is it how do you do the language? Because these concepts are always interesting to translate, both in terms of the language and in terms of the culture. Has that been a challenge?
Actually, it never occurred to me as a challenge. I have felt quite comfortable using both the Turkish and the English, and it's the practice so we use, and I wouldn't say it has been a challenge, the language, no. Not at least for me, and I wouldn't think it would be for my other colleagues as well.
Yeah. So one thing I also know that you do come from this corporate background, and you also continue to do work not just with kids in education, but also with adults in the corporate world, and also teaching in other online programs to adults throughout the region, Turkey and the Middle East and Central Asia. What are you seeing kind of just more generally in the region about an interest in mindfulness and positive psychology, which I know is also an interest of yours? Can you share a little bit about that work that you're doing with adults as well?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Corporate world is interesting because I have been in it for a while, and I could observe that people do need it, and whether to access this through the corporate or another platform to these individuals in the corporate can be discovered more. I think when people in the corporate world take these educations or practices, they want to feel a bit more comfortable. They don't want to feel the pressure that they need to run to a meeting after the practice is finished. So, the need is definitely there. How you bring it in front of them is important. How you put it in front of them is important. And how easy and accessible you make to them is important. Sometimes the corporate world is so fast and so demanding that unfortunately one does not even acknowledge that they could get such as support and they could do better in managing their stress. We tend to be more in autopilot and really run the day really fast, and the days pass, months pass, the year passes, running over our agenda or targets. And then in reality, we all need it. So the need is there, and how we bring it more into them and bring it to their consciousness that they could really manage that stress is still an area that could be improved, and the concept could be introduced more in the corporate in this region. I know in the US, you are a lot more progressed in this area. I know the corporates have integrated a lot more you have departments or people taking care of this. We now know it, and we are going to take the steps maybe more forward.
Yeah, that's great. Are there are you seeing particular countries or parts of the region that are more excited or more interested in mindfulness, or places where there's more resistance and more challenge, or is it kind of everywhere it's bubbling up and people are starting to get interested?
Okay. Well, I know you know this, like in Europe, I think the most advanced country was Holland when I visited. I mean, they have integrated it internally. There's life, work, at every level. The more you go to East, I'm seeing less and less from there to East.
Yeah.
I'm seeing less and less, maybe, but I mean, it doesn't have to be mindfulness. Maybe they're using other techniques to relax, or really calm their mind, like walking or going into nature. So I see they are using that more, like maybe walking or going into the nature, but the degree of these techniques being integrated as a country or nation is lowering as you go to the East and as you go to the Middle East more.
Yeah. Do you feel like
but it has come in, and it's a big curiosity. People are learning now, and because we all need it. It's a common humanity. We want to.
Right.
Something we all needed.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are some other traditions that overlap with mindfulness, or do some of the same things that mindfulness does in terms of creating the relaxation response or helping people focus or getting into the moment? Are there traditions there in Turkey or in the region that people are maybe already doing or have been doing?
It's a good question. In terms of, like, if you think of meditation, no, we don't have anything similar to it. But in terms of listening mindfully, or, relaxing through, being heard, we are a bit more a nation that's very culturally very social and collaborative and close. So more family and, that support groups is available there, but in the not same way. Like, I know, for example, having a network of close friends and family and relatives is a big, one of the important things in one person's life that brings happiness, or, and that's, I could say, is mostly present in our part of the culture. But the techniques like that you do, or the practices that you do in mindfulness, it's not much overlapping.
Yeah. And you're also doing other interesting stuff. I mean, you're leading retreats in the Mediterranean and doing other cool stuff. Can you fill us in on some of the other work that you're doing and interesting projects you've been a part of, or anything else you want to share?
Oh, thanks for asking, Chris. Now it's a good opportunity for me to share this with might be interested. I had not thought that I would share this, but okay. Yeah, actually, in the Mediterranean, we are offering sailing or blue voyage. And this summer, I had done a retreat with a sailing, both couple hours sailing each day, resting at one bay in the Mediterranean each evening, and starting the day with meditation, yoga, and some wisdom talks in the evening. And I was really surprised how nature is healing, how nature is so supportive. And if you allow me to do some advertisement of the Mediterranean.
Sure, absolutely. I want to go on this sailing meditation yoga trip. It sounds great.
The nature, the sea, weather is really accommodating and really supporting these practices. And so we're doing a next one in actually in 2 weeks in Göcek. Göcek is also in the Mediterranean in the south. And this time we are going to do it in a gulet. So gulet is a big boat, and where you can for a couple days rent it and have all your meals, everything in it, and you can sleep in it, and you travel along the bay and rest and stay in different places. So we will be, and you can do the practices on the boat because there is a big room on it as well. So that's what we are planning.
Sounds good. So how can we learn more about this, or how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in doing one of these retreats, or interested in having you visit one of their schools, maybe in the region or beyond? How can folks get in touch with you?
Good question. So I have a website under my name, and in there it's connecting to my email, but I prefer to give my phone number, or I could give my email. Is that okay if I share this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can be reached at 90 country code 530-141-1832, and or they can email me at eengin44@gmail.com.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for joining me, for joining us for the Global Mindfulness and Education Summit from Istanbul, and I just wanted to say I had a wonderful time visiting Ebru just about a year ago now. Wonderful city, wonderful food, wonderful company as we got to hang out for that week and talk about mindfulness and talk about the developments in that part of the world and worldwide, just what's happening. So thank you again so much for joining all of us today, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, and I want to add that the schools really enjoyed having you and the wisdom you shared with them. It was really nice, so we are waiting you to come back again.
I'll be back. I loved it. I absolutely loved being there.
Okay, thank you for organizing this and putting this together. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.